Okay, so I want to be able to finish this up so that we can move on to other things. I have a little bit of congestion and the sinus thing going, so pardon me if I sound a little froggy today. There's a lot to go over, so let's get into it. We were going over the model of how to access direct knowledge from the source, as well as how magic works, at least on the level of the mind. Which is exactly why it works, because it emulates the Kabbalistic Tree of Life at the highest levels. And I said it before, I'll say it again, everything begins with the mind. Those familiar with the Kabbalistic Tree of Life already know that the Sephiroths correspond to certain areas on the human body. And if you didn't know that, you know it now. So, we're going to take a look at the highest levels that correspond with the mind. So we're going to start with the crown at the top, which is Kether. And then we're going to also look at Chokhmah, which is the second Sephiroth, which corresponds with the Zodiac. Also Neptune, but for these purposes we're going to go with the Zodiac. And the third Sephiroth of Binah, which corresponds with Saturn. And you'll notice that Sephiroths 2 and 3, Chokhmah and Binah, are placed on either side of the head, while the crown is placed above it. And this is reflective of the model that I've given you. The two halves of the mind, the conscious and the subconscious, with the collective unconscious above it, separate yet connected. And I'm aware that a lot of books say you got to work your way up the tree of life. You're in Malkuth, and so you need to work your way up to the higher realms. That's fine in path working, but in magic and manifestation and direct access of knowledge, you need to work from the top down. Because the tree of life is the model. It's the larger model. What I'm showing you is just explaining the parts to it in a way that you can understand. But everything starts at the mind, starts at the top, and works its way down to Malkuth to manifest. So you have to emulate that. I mean, for every one good author out there on this stuff, there's at least 50 who don't know what the fuck they're talking about, pardon my French. They'll tell you you got to do things within the realm of possibility, and if the odds are too great, such as, the lottery, you're probably not going to do that. But yet in chapter 1, they'll tell you that all things are possible in the circle. Well, which is it? Which is it? Either all things are possible, or things are out of the realm of possibility. Can't be both, right? And they'll tell you things like you can't have things magically manifest in your yard if you never leave the house. Well, bullshit, because I've had things manifest in my yard without having to leave the house. And on one occasion, twice. The same thing appeared twice. And I'll even give you the sigil for it. Here you go. I'm not going to tell you what it is so that your conscious mind isn't in the way. But you have something weird appear in your yard, message me and let me know what appeared in your yard. I'll tell you if it's correct. And the reason people don't win the lottery using magic is they're not using the correct formula. I'm not going to get into that. I'm getting sidetracked already, but here are your clues to the formula, which we'll cover at another time, because you have to work your way down the tree of life, starting at the top, and this is what we're covering now. So let's get back to the top of the tree. So we have Kether, Chokhmah, and Binah at the top, and these three form the first triangle. Now, triangles are important in magic and the occult and sacred geometry because they form the first plane of manifestation. That's why the number 3 is so important. And for you conspiracy buffs, I've given you guys a big clue as to the symbolism of the pyramid. So now we need to take a look at the paths between these points, these Sephiroths, in relation to our model. From Kether to Chokhmah, we have tarot card 0, the Fool. From Kether to Binah, we have tarot card 1, the Magician. From Kether straight down through Doth and eventually to Taparith is Tarot card 2, the High Priestess. And from Chokhmah over to Binah, we have Tarot card 3, the Empress. And you add these totals up. Cards 0, 1, 2, 3, you total 6. So let's take a look at our 6th card, the Lovers, and our model, and how all this relates. So we have the angel archetype above, and we're going to ascribe that to the Sephiroth of Kether, the crown at the top, connected yet separated from the rest of the body. And we're going to ascribe the man to the conscious mind, and he's standing at Chokhmah. And the burning bush next to him have 12 flames because that corresponds with the 12 signs of the zodiac. Chokhmah and the zodiac correlate to each other. It's a fiery bush because you need that fiery dynamic will. And we're going to have the female standing over at Binah. And there's fruit on the tree, and there are 4 fruit, and this represents the triangle of manifestation. When you connect them, and how they're arranged on the tree should be apparent to that. They should either form a triangle with one in the middle, or if you're thinking in 3-dimensional terms, it can be a pyramid. Either way, it means the same thing, because the subconscious is the side of the mind that's going to be working on the manifestation process. It builds the blueprint given to it by the will in order to bear the fruit of your desire. Now, the snake on the tree represents those things that slip into your subconscious that you need to guard against. This is why it's very important to guard the gates of your mind, because that's where the snake is going to do the damage. It wants to spoil the fruit. Both trees on the card are representative of the top of the pillars of mercy and severity. They are representative of the pillars. But there was no burning bush in Eden. That relates to the story of Moses in the scripture, but for the purposes of our model, it fits. Because you need to have that fiery dynamic will, the great I am, to be able to impress upon the subconscious in order to manifest. See? Now, the path between the man and the angel, let's say the man's not looking at the angel, but the angel is looking down. There's not that direct connection. So this is representative of the Fool card. And the rift between them is representative of the cliff he's about to walk off. He doesn't have direct access to all the knowledge, therefore he's a fool. The path between the angel and the woman, Kether and Binah, is the Magician card. And it should be apparent why. Because the subconscious has that direct link to the database and has everything that they need, all the elements, all the tools, anything that they need is going to be supplied through this path, through this direct link. And it's a big clue as to why the infinity symbol is over the magician's head, because he now has access to infinite divine knowledge. Now the path from the angel, from Kether straight down, with the High Priestess card, should be obvious if you've listened to these lessons thus far. This is depolarization. This is the path of the middle pillar, and why you do the middle pillar, so that you can sit on that dividing line between the two halves of the mind so they can effectively communicate with each other. And in the middle pillar, you start at the top and work your way down, do you not? Everything begins in the mind. Now the path between the man and the woman, Chokhmah and Binah. This is the path where the conscious mind uses its will to make an impression upon the subconscious mind. An impression. To impress. Impress. Now, aside from the clever wordplay on that, it's also showing you how to go about it, because before, when I said that you needed to treat your magic and the subconscious as a date, it's a little bit more than that. You have to have a certain degree of respect and reverence, because that's what's going to make the biggest impression. This is why we conduct things as very sacred. It's the sacred feminine. So you don't want to treat your date cheaply. You want to have the romance and the chivalry and the drama and all the things that the feminine mind fantasize about. That's what makes the impression. Because those are the things that the feminine mind really get off on. And this is why we inject a lot of grandiose drama in ritual while maintaining a sacred respect for what we're doing. You're going to treat your date, that feminine mind, as any woman would want to be treated, like a goddess. And to the conscious mind, it may seem a little cheesy, but the subconscious eats it up. It's very impressed with that. So this is how all this was given to me, of what's going on at the highest levels with this model, and this is how I'm giving it to you. I trust in it because it was given to me all at once, and I didn't have to make anything fit, everything just fit. And this is what accessing the knowledge is like, because so much comes in at once, it's actually kind of hard to keep up with it all. The conscious mind doesn't have to think about it. It's standing off to the side. It just flows in. Now later it can go back and check things out, but it doesn't have to force anything into place because it already fits. It already works. Which always ends up leaving the conscious mind with a sense of awe and wonder. I really didn't think it was going to take this entire video to explain the rest of it. And I'm getting pretty close to time. So we're going to wrap it up at that, and I will see you next time. Take care.